stories are never complete until you listen to Real Talk with Kike on Silverbird Television. If you want to hear a different opinion with real facts, live and direct, the show is Real Talk. I am Kike Lomatondao, and you are onto the live talk show. Of course, I never do this alone. I've never done it alone. I've have diverse opinions on the shows of views, and of course I have my exciting co-host. One of them is running late, of course, thanks to traffic in Lagos, even though I'm going to find Omotunde Lola when she gets there. How are you doing, Efo?
I'm good, Kike. It's good to see you again.
Of course, the red is popping. It's
you
popping.
Look radiant.
It's called Royal.
Oh, what?
We have royalty on the show today.
I'm looking at your face.
I have to represent them.
Yes.
But don't look at my eyeballs, because my eyeballs are always red.
It's good to see you again. I hope family and everyone is good.
Everyone is doing wonderfully well. We bless God.
We thank God. So hello, viewer. Welcome to our show.
All right. It's time for Nigerian history to talk to us. Let's hear what it has to say. Please listen to On This Day in History. We'll be right back.
On This Day in History, Tuesday, 27th of July, 2014, President Buhari's convoy was attacked. A militant leader, Asari Dokubo, who is also the leader of Niger Delta People's Salvation Force, NDPSF, exploded, saying Buhari masterminded the attack on himself.
All right, many thanks for staying with us. You know, On This Day in History, I must say that is the shortest On This Day in History that we've had on this segment. And it's weird. I know that anything can happen in Nigeria. Yeah. I know that people can, mastermind also. But it's weird. It's weird for me to wrap my head around it. That could it be possible that our sitting president could have done that in 2017? What's your take on it, Efo?
Kike, like you said, anything is possible in our country. But with due respect to the presidency, I would like to say, just maybe in court, Asari Dokubo is a militant leader, or definitely you won't expect him to be on the same page with the presidency. So everything will probably, be pushed at them, being the militants in the region at the time. So I really do not know where to place this at this point. But if it happened, then caution should be exercised in the future.
All right. So when you say caution, let's just flip the coin, because I know that PDP and APC, which is a dominant party in Nigeria or in Lagos or Nigeria to be precise, they are quick to throw themselves basbos, for me, I just feel that the person is probably not in the APC party, hence the reason why it could be quick to point fingers at Buhari to say that, it's lying and all of that. It could be masterminded and everything, because it's weird for me. It's just like when people say they are ill, or when people say they had an accident, I'm saying to myself, is it a good thing for you to wish yourself ill? But when other, I don't want to say enemies, because really I'm not really,
let's just call them the opposition.
The opposition party, but it's sad the way we are quick to throw each other under the bus, especially when they are in the political party. I really don't want to tailor it down to human behavior, because our political arena here is pretty ugly. I really think that it's not real. What On This Day in History is telling us that Buhari would deliberately bring that upon himself because he doesn't wish himself ill.
Kike, I think I need to point out here that it's Asari Dokubo himself, the militant leader, that actually said that, according to what we have.
Yeah.
So what else would you expect from him? Because they are not in consonance with what the government is doing. So definitely, they will not say anything that would align with what the government, in place is doing. So I don't think it's a case of another political party now. There's a case of a militant leader saying that, no, the president lied. He's the one who, masterminded this whole thing, But however it goes, if a president's convoy is attacked, then what happens to the security paraphernalia?
The citizens.
Do you understand?
When we are claiming insecurity.
Well, that was then.
The rulers play useful roles in mediating between the people and the state, enhancing national identity, resolving minor conflicts, and providing an institutional balance in communities, so to speak, to enable the state perform its governance or its governmental and administrative function. Yes, that is the basic role of the traditional rulers. However, in modern times, traditional rulers have gone beyond the mediating roles. Some of them are directly involved in politics and governance of the state. On the show today, we are not here to debate whether the rules have powers or the rulers have powers, or not to, whether they rule the state and the people, or whether they rule the state or the people or not. We simply want to look at their influence in politics and governance, and however, how have they been using their seat of rulership for positive influence in our country. To discuss this topic with us is a personality of reality, and by profession he is an engineer and a former commissioner, all in Lagos State. Welcome to this show, Prince Adesegun Oniru. It's a pleasure to have a royal presence in the studio today. Nice all right, sir. So
it's good to have you with us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, of course, my co-host was running late. I'm going to find out after the show. Lolo,
Rightly so.
thank you for being on in this film today.
It's amazing how Lagos traffic just scatters everything. No matter how early you leave home, sometimes it's so unpredictable, the road. I apologize.
All right, that story for another day. All right, from your own point of view, what has been the general influence of obas and rulers in the political affairs of our country? I must open the floor with that question.
Wow, that's deep. You didn't even start by asking me what's tradition or traditional.
No.
You went straight
we all know
into
what
it.
tradition is. I'm very sure my listeners will have an understanding of what tradition is.
Okay,
So
but my belief of tradition
Yeah.
and traditional may be different to your viewers.
Okay.
But whatever.
Enlighten us.
You just enlighten us very
us.
briefly because
Yeah,
of
Well,
time.
go straight
okay,
to that.
okay, all right. So to me, what is tradition?
Yes.
Tradition is transmission of beliefs, customs to one generation to the other.
Okay.
But in our society, we tend to get it wrong.
Okay.
When they call you a traditional leader, you start getting carried away like you're God. You're not God. All you're doing is from what your forefathers have passed on to you,
True.
you're passing it on to the next generation, as it were. So that is my own definition of it. So what
Is the general influence of obas and the rulers in the political arena in our country today?
okay, to me, I believe that the obas and traditional rulers are getting too involved in politics.
Okay.
My personal view. And as the father of all, you need to sit back and delegate, give directives, and then let other people carry out and implement what you've directed.
Sure.
Not for you personally to start getting involved in the nitty-gritty of everyday politics. So to me, I think that our fathers, who are the obas and traditional rulers, are getting too involved in what really they don't need to get too involved in.
No,
Yes, thank you very much, sir, for that submission. I'm wondering what do you think there's a modernization or a twist to cultural beliefs? Because I remember during COVID time that a lot of people feel that the traditional rulers or the cultural beliefs is being demystified. Because some of our youth here in Lagos had the audacity to enter into the house of the Oba of Lagos, cut away money, even take the staff of office, things that were revered in the past, that you would have thought that thunder would come and strike them, or leprosy would, come.
Should we say Oshishe?
I'm wondering that, is it that the gods have traveled, or the belief is no longer as strong as it used to be? Or there's a modern twist to it that we might not understand?
Or maybe the gods are angry.
Exactly. It could be many things.
Well, without personalizing the answer to your question, what has happened has happened.
True.
And we hope we don't ever get anything like that happen in Nigeria, let alone Lagos, ever again.
Amen.
But you also have to take a back step and look at the economic situation of the country and what it brings about. And in a state where we have well over 25 million people, and not everybody has food on their table. When an opportunity arises, they'll attack anybody. So it's not personal to the Oba of Lagos. I'm sure his own home wasn't the only one that happened to, but the light was shining on that place because he is the Oba of Lagos.
Yes.
And he's the father of all Lagosian. He's supposed to be. So things like that were not supposed to happen. It's not anything about the gods has failed anyone. And if you look at my answer, if you go back and see the answer I gave you about tradition and what my belief of tradition is, and you cast your mind back to that, you see that there's a lot of myth in what people believe in as well. You believe that if you enter this room, you may not come out again. There's no such thing. There's tradition, there's science, and there's belief.
True.
Okay? You believe in God. If they tell you that if you go inside that room, you won't come out, you want to prove it to everybody that I'm going to go inside that room and I will come out because my God will bring me out. So, you know, there's a lot more to but
just
it's
keeping
not.
it shrouded.
Kind of like a
I need
mix,
to have some,
you know.
the when it comes to tradition,
Yes.
there's a lot of mysticism and a lot of, things good that go around it to make us, like believe it. So maybe now a lot of curtains have been taken off, and I've seen Egungun dancing as well.
Let me give you another example of tradition.
Okay.
Thanksgiving, you eat turkey. Ramadan, you eat ram.
Okay.
Christmas time,
You
you
eat
put
chicken.
up you put up a Christmas tree.
Tree.
Those
Okay.
are traditions as well.
Yeah.
So who says that if you eat that turkey or the chicken, or if you don't eat it, one day Google will come and carry you away? You know?
I'm going to talk about tradition from the point of accessibility of the people in the communities to the traditional leaders. Like you said, they have deviated from their roles majorly.
Some of them, not all of them.
No, not all of them.
Some of them.
You know, majorly. We see that. Well, Nigerians, we live here. We see some of those things. You know, so I'm saying, how do the people access their traditional leaders? And I'm saying this from two angles. I heard of a case recently that was really heart-rending. There's a lady who stocked up for Salah.
Okay.
You know, she has a shop in the market, and she got her goods, oil, granite oil. You know, the shop was full, things she was going to sell for Salah, and her shop was broken into about 1, 2 a.m. And they carted away everything, the new stock and the old stock, everything she had. You know, I ran into her yesterday and I was asking her, I first commiserated with her. I'm so sorry about what happened. So how far have you gone? You know, and likely because people do not have any confidence in the police, you know, she did not go to the police station. Guess where she went to? They took her to the Oba's palace.
Okay.
She went there and I said, so after then, what happened? She said, nothing.
Okay.
Let me that's
stop.
where my question stems from. Yes, sir.
Let me answer the question. You see, again, my view.
Yes.
If you call yourself an Oba or a traditional ruler, because a traditional ruler is not just the Oba. You have chiefs as well, you have the Balis.
True.
You have to make yourself accessible to your people because you are the grassroots. Even before they get to the local government, you are the first point of call in that community. So you have to make yourself accessible. Now, let me give another example. I hope you all can remember who Oba Adeyinka Oyekon was.
Yes, very well.
Now, we called him Papa when we were younger. And at that time, Igadu Goron, it was low fence, see-through, where you can see what is going on. People have access to the to the palace, and back then, things were not what Lagos used to be. So everybody can go in.
Yes.
And, you know, it's a palace. It's a palace for the community. It's a palace for everybody. You're just the custodian of that place.
True.
So you need to make yourself accessible to the people that you're supposedly ruling over. Putting a fence 10 meters high and hiding yourself away, and people can't even see what is going on in your palace, I don't think is the way to go.
Okay.
Look at Buckingham Palace. From the street, you can see the inside of Buckingham Palace, you know? And when you hide yourself away, people that you're meant to be ruling over, they won't believe in you. They think you're just there for your own ulterior motive.
True.
And if there's any issues, any problem, they won't come to you, because even if they do come to you, what would they get out of it? What will you do?
What solution are you offering?
The only thing you're going to say is that, okay, I've heard, I'll do something about it. And like your lady, nothing will happen. So to me, make yourself accessible to the people that you're meant to be ruling, and carry everybody along with what you're doing.
All right, I like that submission, but I must give another instance, because I know that the insecurity crisis going on in our country, it's pretty bad. And some of the monarchs in Southwest have their delegates in Benin Republic to support Sunday Igboho. And so can we say that the Southwest monarchs are in support of Igboho, or they have another agenda? Or do you think that they are just being oppressed under the law?
Well, you see, you're diving into a political arena that I would rather not talk about.
Okay.
But for Sunday, Sunday is his own person, and his belief is that he's fighting for the Yorubas.
For the people,
But how many Yorubas are really behind him and what he's doing? How many people believe in what he's doing? I may not believe in what he's doing, because I don't want Nigeria to break up.
You don't want separation.
And if we do have separation in Nigeria, believe me, we're all in trouble. So there must be a way around to resolve that matter.
All right.
You know, half of the time I'm wondering, when it comes to the monarchy and the people that we seem to put our trust in, the people are beginning to lose that sense of belonging when it comes to our traditional rulers. Because I remember the case in Oyo State where the governor of the state had to even say somebody can be taking off the seat, and got really hands into the pudding of the authorship and everything, and the governor had to do that. I'm wondering, what is happening? Is it that the people are losing a sense of direction?
Well, you see, you've hit on something that is very, very important in our society, particularly in the Southwest. We need to learn to separate tradition and politics.
True.
Tradition and governance. You cannot impose. It's not a political appointee to be an Oba. Your family must pick you. That this is the person we want to lead us. This is the person that the society will listen to. So when governments start diving into what is not really their business, then you have issues. And these issues are what is happening now. And it will continue to happen until we go back to the way things were. And how were these things? When it's time to pick an Oba, there are ruling houses, or there's a particular ruling house that must be entitled to that throne. So you let the system take care of itself, and once they pick their candidate, you then take it to the local government. Because it's the local government in Lagos particularly, it's the local government that will indicate that this is the person that the family has picked, and then pass it on to the state government for the state government to do whatever they need to do, and then pass on the staff of office. But if you start mingling the two together, you'll always have issues.
All right. So I'm sorry. I'm glad that you mentioned this, because I understand, because I remember that the Alara of Ilara Kingdom, that is your His Royal Highness Olafolari Ogunsowo, in July 23rd, where he urged the federal government to grant constitutional sovereignty to traditional institutions. So I must ask you, what do you think of the request when monarchies have constitutional powers?
They don't have it.
Why do you say that?
Do they have it? What constitutional power does any monarch has? A local government chairman can remove an Oba. So what are we talking about?
That's what it has come to be.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. So what I don't think they
So
have
it doesn't
any, but
exist.
they should, because if you really want to get down to the grassroots, people that matters, as government, your first point of call is the traditional ruler in that community.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't work like that anymore.
Traditional rulers and their roles in governance and politics in the states, basically. So our guest is the eminent prince from the Oniru family and the former commissioner in Lagos State. We've been slightly discussing his position regarding traditional rulers, and of course, when it comes to politics. But now we'll slightly be discussing little about the profession and career in the next segment of the show. But to be part of this conversation, remember that you can call our phone line 080-988-77400. It's showing on your screen right now. Remember that we're streaming live on YouTube, on Facebook, and of course on Silverbird platform and Real Talk with Kike platform. But I think before we just jump into his professional career and of course maybe touch on family a little bit, you wanted to ask question on Benin.
Yes, no, I was going to say, in the same vein, we're talking about the interference of the government, you know, in the traditional setup. How can the government be stopped? Because now we're looking at one kingdom in this country, the Benin Kingdom. You cannot interfere with that kingdom. You can't. And it's not possible that you hear the Oba of Benin move from his throne to say he's going to Abuja to go and do what? Please, sir.
He can pay a visit to Mr. President.
But not
But
that I know of.
Okay, but you see, in Benin, for example,
Yes, sir.
the succession plan of who is going to be the Oba
Yes.
has been in place from time immemorial. So for anybody to come and tamper with that system, it will be very, very difficult. So it's a culture that they've put together, and the people in Benin have adhered to that culture.
Yeah, they're sustaining it.
And there's no way, and it'll be very difficult for you to go and
There's
try
no
and,
flexibility
and
with
go and
them.
buy anybody to say that go and step down for this one
No
or
way.
step down for that.
It's not done.
The succession plan is there, and they keep to it. So it's their culture, it's their tradition that they keep to.
So how can the government be stopped from interfering, especially with what we see playing out in the West?
But you see, what anybody in government will tell you is that there's no government interfering with anything. That they will not get involved in what doesn't concern them. One, and they will not get, any government will not get involved, particularly in the Southwest. The answer they will give you.
Yes.
They will not get involved with things that they've not been invited into. Because truly, if you know that's your birthright to be in a certain position, why should you involve any government to come in and then rubber stamp it and to rubber stamp it for you? So it's the same people in different communities that have invited government to come and take the decision for them, because they cannot be one to make the right decision.
All right, many thanks for that submission.
sir.
You know, earlier when you were talking about the time when they pick Obas, but now going to royal affairs based on one of the response you gave with the question that my colleague asked. I know that in these modern times, many arguments surface on how the successors of a king in the traditional setting of the Nigeria is going on right now. So, you know, I personally want to inquire what determines who the next king should be. That's one question. Is it the lineage, or is it oracle's choice, or should I say age, or when you were talking earlier you spoke about bloodlines, or what exactly is the way forward when it comes to, you know, getting a particular Oba to rule? And you know, it
or
be
a
good.
particular candidate to become an Oba.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I like
What do you think of that in
Well,
Oniru dynasty?
Oh, you want me to be more specific
We're
to my
narrowing
own?
it
Yes,
down.
let's
Oh,
tailor
wow.
it down.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, in my home and where I came from,
Yeah.
we have 3 ruling houses,
Okay.
right? And those 3 ruling houses have succession plan.
Okay.
But within those 3 ruling houses as well, you have different branches.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is where, for example, if Kike's ruling house is the turn to become
Next in line.
an Oba now, you have like 50 people from that same ruling houses that wants to become an Oba. And this is where the Ifa Oracle
Comes in.
come
Comes
to
in.
play.
Okay.
You submit all your names, and whoever the Ifa Oracle picks should be, but it doesn't always work like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work like that. Then that's when government gets involved as well. But also, within the 3 ruling houses, A that knows that it's not his turn may want to jump, and C that's his turn will be cheated because of maybe lack of funds, or he doesn't have any godfather behind him, or whatever, or any money man behind him. So the issues are vast. But one thing all of us have to remember, when you sell your brother, that buyer will never trust you,
Never. Sure.
because you've sold your soul. So what says that that person you sold your soul to will ever trust you again to buy anything from you?
As instructive.
Yeah. Very deep.
All right, before
Very-
you go, we have a caller on the line. Chief Ambrose from First Act. Many thanks for calling. What's your contribution on the topic at hand? Please reduce the volume of your TV set, please.
Okay, please, I want to just contribute. I want to ask, what is your take about the king revoking your C of O? You know, because we feel that it's the government thing. But what we notice sometimes in some area, some king will go and they will say they should connect that land or revoke your C of O. Does the king monarch have a right to do that? That's what I really want to ask. And what's your take about king nominating a chairmanship person for a particular community? I don't know if it's right. Because of some people in the environment might not be happy with that decision. But the king will go ahead because of the political power.
Let me start with the first question. No king anywhere has the right to revoke any certificate of occupancy. Certificate of occupancy is given by the government, and when the government need the land or part of the land for public use, they can go to the person they've issued it to and ask that person that, look, we'll give you something back in return for using this land. And it's only government that can actually revoke a certificate of occupancy, no monarch. And also, there are laws in Lagos State that we all have to have at the back of our mind. And if in doubt, get a good lawyer, okay? There's land grabbing law. So land grabbers and a lot of our, some of our of our traditional rulers have gotten in trouble with land grabbing issue, with some of the things that you have said now. Maybe they didn't revoke the certificate of occupancy, but they've taken land that didn't belong to them. So you take, yes, by force, that's land grabbing. So there's a law against that. So you take them to court, okay? Now, secondly, he was saying something about putting councillor or local government chairman down. Again, this is where I said earlier on that some of us traditional rulers are diving into things that is not our business, because that's government, and that's the people, that's grassroots. It's the people within that community that they should choose fairly who they want to govern them at that grassroots, not any monarch. So that's my take.
All right. Med, thank you very much for enlightening us and telling us your own opinion about things asked. In your profile, I see that you are a real estate mogul. You have your hands in building and all that. I'm asking that in Lagos, we seem to see like an upsurge of estates everywhere. And I'm wondering, would we say this is advancement? Because a lot of estates are still inaccessible to a lot of people. They are high-end, all of them. The likes of Jakonde Estate at that time that was able to cater for maybe people on that lower cadre. We still are not seeing such buildings going up. We're seeing a lot of real estate work going on, but I'm wondering, how does it affect people that are at the grassroots level?
Well, maybe you're not looking deep enough, okay? Let me talk about Lagos State.
Yes, please.
I know very well that Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, I know what he's doing to cater for the shortage of housing in Lagos State, and he's doing a hell of a lot. Only yesterday or a day before, he got an award in Abuja for Mr. Housing. I can't remember what it's called, but providing housing for the needy, you know. So not everybody can afford what is going on in some area, but there are affordable housing in Lagos State and also on the federal level. I know for a fact that they are building affordable housing all over Nigeria, not just in not just in Abuja. So you only have to look or ask people that know.
But should it be something we should be asking?
Yes.
I'm talking about development that are very open to see.
Yeah, but if you don't ask, you won't know. No. Because maybe the area where you live, an average home will cost 100 million. How many people can afford that? When if you go to government and you put your papers together, you can get something for 15, 20 million.
Yeah, who exactly should you be asking at this point?
Well,
I know there are some houses in
there's Ministry of Housing in Lagos State, and they have a good commissioner. You can approach.
I'm saying it for the benefit of the
you can approach him.
Toke Benson is coming on the show.
And then exactly, and then on the federal level, there's federal housing that you can also go to as well. And they have a chart that covers the entire country.
Apologies, I might have to interrupt your line of thought. We have Ayo from Lekki, Lagos. Many thanks, Ayo, for calling. What's your contribution on the topic at hand? Please go straight to the point.
Yes. Hello?
That was unclear.
Hello?
Ayo, we can hear you. We can hear you. Talk to us.
Yes, my contribution. I just want to find out how he has kept his cool. You know, all the politics that have been happening, the threats, what has kept him going despite all that has been happening? That's just my contribution.
Question, Ayo. What has kept
He's
you
a
going?
fan of you, sir.
What has kept you going?
What has kept you going? In spite of all the drama, the storms.
It takes a lot to threaten me and get away with it.
Okay.
Nice one.
So you can try. You will always be an empty threat.
Okay, many thanks for that. Okay. You know, curiosity kills my cat, you know. I must ask you, a prominent and affluent socialite, that's what I want to use of your status, you know. We believe we should be seeing more of your royal family, you know. So tell us a little bit about your queen and your nuclear family. I'm curious.
Okay, so I'm married with 4 kids, three girls, 1 son, and I also have 2 grandkids. And they're 2 years old, and they're doing very well, and all is well. We thank God. You know, you always have to thank God for wherever you are in life.
Sure.
And there's some things that you keep away from your family and you keep them away from. Because what you're going through as a man, you want to keep that to yourself because you don't want them to be thinking negative thoughts against whoever is thinking or doing bad things to you. So I keep them away from some part of my life, and they're doing okay. They're fine.
All right,
They're fine.
fantastic.
That's
I think
really fantastic.
this is why I say many thanks for coming on the show, and of course, for
Am I free to
creating-
go?
No, not yet. And of course, for creating time to be here today. All right, before we wrap up this last segment, I understand that we have another caller, Remy from Lagos. Remy, thank you for calling. Can you go straight to the point, please? Yes, you are on. What's your perspective on the topic at hand?
Well, pertaining to chieftaincy and obaship and all that, because we have recently seen around us that there is a lot of tokenism and a whole lot of hoodlumism that the present-day traditionalists and monarchs actually encourage. It's appalling. It's not so palatable to the culture our forefathers have left here in Lagos for us as a good heritage. It is very uncommon to find in this present generation that it is being more politically inclined. The way the government and what you see in the government now is transmitted, and always more seeing that the present day generation is moving more towards tokenism and hoodlumism, where we're surrounded by thugs, and wherever obers and traditional kings or rulers are found, you always find there's a whole lot of violence. It's affecting the future of Nigeria. It's affecting the future of
many thanks for lending your voice and of course for contributing on the topic at hand. But before we let you go, sir,
let me respond to this.
Okay, all right, please go ahead, sir.
Because do you mind if I say it in Yoruba to your viewers?
No, that's
okay.
native
Because what it is that the way I will say it, that people will really understand.
Yes,
it's my mother's tongue. You see, ọba tó jẹ tìlú dùn, orúkọ ò ní parẹ́. Ọba tó jẹ tìlú dàrú, orúkọ náà ò ní parẹ́. So whatever legacy you want to leave behind you is what you should start by.
Fantastic. Many thanks for that. You will know that this is a Omoluabi Pata.
Yes.
That we brought on the show. All right, before we let you go, sir, there's a segment that we call Trending Story, and this is a story that affects us all. The first trending story that caught our attention, I would excuse you on it, and that is the APC woman voting multiple times in the just concluded election in Lagos. Lola, what's your take on this?
Honestly, concerning this last election, I was confused about a lot of things. The lack of awareness is one. Is it that the polity do not want the people to be involved in the voting process? Because a lot of people did not even know what was happening. So, and when we began to see videos surface on social media and a party was allegedly named, I'm wondering what is the future for us? Because this is like the beginning, we are the foundation, we are the start of 2023. And if this is beginning to happen at the very first election, I'm wondering what is ahead of us in the election itself in 2023.
Yes.
Because it was very shameful. It was low, there was low turnout. So I'm wondering that, okay, is this election for just the party people and not the entire Lagos? All of us were just given holiday to just stay in our houses while they just went ahead to do what they think they want to do. Allegedly, at least, it's just fingering here and there, pointing to different parties. And I'm wondering what's happening.
Did you get out to vote?
Was I even aware of the elections? I knew it.
Did you just say that on this platform?
Wow.
I knew. I knew. No. Actually, I knew there was an election, but it was so over our heads. Like, it wasn't sounding like important. I didn't even see anything that would
But
change.
that's grassroots.
Yes.
That is the real.
But that is where
cocoa of the
politics
matter.
starts.
Yes.
If we people that are living amongst the people
Yeah.
did not even have a one-on-one. You didn't even feel that, okay, local government chairman is coming out. On my street, I was burying my mother that weekend. That was even why I didn't even come out to vote, really. But on our streets, we should be able to have one-on-one interaction with some of, I asked more than 20 people.
Yes.
None of them knew.
What's your take on this one?
I saw the video and I was really, I said in 2021, I was disgusted. I really was. And my first reaction was, that woman should be arrested. One, she's a mother. So what kind of example is she going to be to her children? How much was she given? Was another question I asked. I said, it can't be beyond maybe 2,000, 5,000. So how long is that going to feed her for?
What is that conscience?
Do you understand?
That's
so
cheap.
how long are we going to go on like this? That's why they don't want the electronic voting system. That's why.
Who are they?
Well, whoever they are, these ones, in quotes.
All right.
They know themselves, sir.
All right. All right. Many thanks, guys, for your submission. My own take, I think this is a woman that took a lot of ballot papers and voted multiple times, just like we saw in the video. And it was circulating on social media, but no serious reaction to it. I hope electoral body stands up to this. This is the reason why I feel that they don't want electoral voting, just like you said earlier. The woman has committed an offense, and there's no time to blame poverty, because I know that we are quick to blame circumstances surrounding an issue, and we should blame security officials that were on ground. How did she get all those multiple forms? Those were questions that was going on in my head. I pray this matter does not disappear as others does, especially with the political authorities coming on board and demanding answers to the misconduct. Our election process, it's compromised. I'm sorry to say this, and it's been, I think it's spoiled when it comes to the democratic outcomes. And now to the people, we need to be serious and forthcoming with our voting. Forget that Lola said she was burying her mother and she couldn't make it. And the election process in this country has to be taken seriously, especially when it comes to LCD, because that is the root of most of the challenges we are facing today. There's no time for you to play jokes. There's no time for you to say, I can't afford to suffer for the next 4 years because of some of the challenges we are facing. Our decisions count now. Our vote determines the quality of life that we would be living, and it is important for us to understand that. And I remember exactly in 2017, please, I don't want us to come out and the local government election is not always what people will say that they are taking seriously. And in 2021, the same situation is repeating itself. People don't really want to come out as they feel that their votes won't count. And I'm sorry, I saw Femi Gbajabiamila's comments when he said that he's not happy that people didn't come out. I'm sorry, my brother. We have not made the process fair for people. We all need to understand that we all need to stand for the truth and justice. I think there is need for more orientation for the people. They need to know the power in the voting. It is not time to say that I don't like politics. It is not time for you to say that my vote doesn't count. People complain when there is a bad governance or when there's a bad government, and forget that they are allowed, to come out and cast their votes. Who has not voted or who has not, who believe that they cannot come out and vote, you have no reason to complain. I hate it when people come to me and say, Kike, what's your take on things like this? I must say, what's our take on situations like this? All of us, all the constitution that is ongoing right now, some of the challenges that we are facing globally, and especially in Nigeria, in our country. And I think that's the reason why I deliberately brought our guest today, so that we can understand when he gave the definition of traditional rulers, when he gave the definition of what it means for the youth to come together, and the youth of today needs to understand that there is power beyond social media. There is power for you to come out now and cast your vote and let it count. All right, that is my last submission.
Can I say very quickly?
All right.
I think massive orientation, education, that is the key. Honestly.
A second trending story that caught our attention is that of the Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project, I think SARAP, that sent an open letter to President Muhammadu Buhari urging him to instruct the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, to withdraw the directive banning journalists and broadcast station from reporting details of terrorist attack and victims across the country. You know, I must start with you, Efo, quickly, in 1 minute. What's your take on it with SARAP's action?
I think I'm totally in support with SARAP. The question is, with SARAP, you know, what are the gains from their going to court time, taking the government to court time and again? Have they been able to get results thus far? That's the question I have for SARAP, you know. And besides, this is a democracy and this is 2021. Why will the press be gagged?
Fantastic. Sir, do you have any submission on this story? You would like to stay clear?
So
what's your take, Lolo?
I'm just wondering if we're going back in time, because this is like where we're now going to begin to fight for our voice, when we should be moving into the next century of things to do. Now we're still going to be fighting the government on right to speak. So why are we even having government?
All right. I was expecting you guys
Can I put one quick question to you guys?
Yes, please.
I don't know whether you realize, but in the UAE, for example, hardly ever do you ever see any negative press about their government. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. But what is your take about that? Because, of course, there's somewhere in the world that you don't see or hear anything bad. But they never ever report anything negative about their country. And look at where they are today.
Could it be because the governments are doing well? And the people
what is your definition of doing well?
The people are fulfilled.
Content.
They're content with what they see and what they are served.
You don't think that we should try that system here as well? Don't report anything negative.
All right.
It's just an idea.
You know, there's fundamental human rights, and
Yes,
it must
sir.
be expressed in our country. And I feel that it is only when it's convenient for us, especially our government, that is when they choose what they think the journalists should report or not. You know, and I think that it's important for me to emphasize that the rule of law in Nigeria is at war. Genuinely is a war. The media did not create the news. It's important for you to understand that, and they report the news as it comes to them. And I think that it is dumb of the NBC to accuse the media of promoting and reporting violence. I think the government should be ashamed of their failures, especially when it comes to them thinking that we should curb insecurity. Again, they can't afford to be laughing, how would I put it, that to be a laughing stock, so to speak, at the international community. And yet, instead of them channeling their power and looking for how to curb the bandits and the terrorists, they channel their authority to the journalists and the media firms. And I think that, I'm sorry to say this, media report today, it's history in the making, whether we like it or not. Just like the segment we have on This Day in History on the show, we have seen that there are a lot of negative reports dominating history. I also saw my post this morning, Ben Abati, when they spoke about some of the challenges we are facing when it comes to them trying to curb the media. The NBC, you know, it's sad, but I think that we have glamorized the bandits, and it's lame for the government to start looking for how to curb the media. The media is not the enemy. The bandits killing soldiers, the innocent citizens are the enemies. We should commend SARAP. I pray that they get justice for the journalists, and I hope that our society can become a better place. It's not just about the media, but the whole of society, as for us to express our fundamental human rights, and not just for them to dictate what news that should be put out there. And I think that because of my technical directors trying to tell me, madam, calm down, we need to wrap up now, let me just put my submission on this, that the battle between the federal government is not just about the journalists. It is important for them to understand that the end of this is what I'm actually waiting for, because I know that it's not going to be a good one. So on that note, this is what I say. We've come to the end of another episode of Real Talk with Kike, but I must emphasize, many thanks for honoring my invitation.
Thank you so much.
Maybe next time you talk about my profession and what I do for a living, rather than tradition.
Okay.